acting up a little bit over here, but I think we'll be good. I'm just setting up the stream to YouTube and Facebook. Give me 1 minute. Cool. We're live on YouTube. Our Zoom is recording. Our internal recording is going. I believe that we are also on channel 4777. Facebook is posting. Okay, we are good to go, Mayor. Oh, and
Okay.
there's Deputy Mayor Katz.
All right. Let's rise for Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the roll, please.
Councilwoman Rami Rice.
Here.
Councilman Began. Here. Councilwoman Organ.
Here.
Councilman Kaplan.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Schwartz.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Katz.
Here.
Mayor Dunleavy.
Here.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by resolution number 226-2020, sending a copy to the newspapers officially designated for 2021 by way of resolution number 111-2020, filing a copy in the Township Clerk's office and posting on the municipal building bulletin board, and the mayor hereby directs that this statement be included in the minutes.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I have some announcements. Tonight's administration's president tonight's meeting are Dean Kaczynski, our township manager, Doug Roussillon, our township clerk, Clarence Barnes, building maintenance worker, holding it down for us back at the mothership, Ron Goodman, volunteer cable caster extraordinaire, and John Shadanian from the law firm of McCusker and Selmy, Rosen, and Carvelli. The next televised council meeting will take place on Tuesday, June 1st at 7 p.m. Please be reminded that attendance at the municipal building is by appointment only until further notice. Municipal offices will be closed on Monday, May 31st in observance of Memorial Day. There will be a Memorial Day ceremony on the municipal green on Monday, May 31st at 11 a.m., rain or shine. The municipal building will be open from 4 to 9 p.m. on May 18th to accept voter registration forms with social distancing guidelines in place. There will be a representative from the clerk's office in the lobby of the north entrance of the municipal building to accept your registration form starting at 7 p.m. Anytime before 7 p.m., please submit your form to the clerk's office on the second floor of the South Municipal Building. Please wear face coverings whenever coming into the buildings. The council meeting met in closed session to discuss the following: swim club, COVID update, public health emergency, potential sale of township-owned land, certifications, safety and security, legal issues and/or opinions on any item or open session agenda, litigation updates, Oprah, and our planner gave an update on zoning amendments. So tonight we're going to start off with a presentation for National EMS Week. Councilmember Organ.
I'll read the proclamation.
Mhm.
Whereas in 1974, President Gerald Ford authorized Emergency Medical Services Week to celebrate EMS practitioners and the important work they do in our nation's communities. And whereas May 16th to 22nd, 2021 is the 46th annual National EMS Week, the theme for which is "This is EMS, Caring for Our Communities." And whereas EMS Week is a time to thank paramedics, EMTs, and the entire EMS workforce for their service and sacrifices, and an opportunity to raise public awareness about the critical role of EMS in the community. And whereas the current COVID-19 pandemic has highlighted the importance of emergency medical services in providing life-saving emergency medical treatment and emergency transportation to healthcare facilities. And whereas paramedics, EMTs, and EMS volunteers have responded to the emergency medical needs of Teaneck's residents at all hours of the day and night, 7 days a week, often at great inconvenience and personal sacrifice in their own personal and family lives. And whereas it is fitting and proper for the Township Council of the Township of Teaneck to recognize and acknowledge the emergency medical services provided to the residents of the Township of Teaneck by both the Teaneck Volunteer Ambulance Corps and Holy Name Medical Center by designating May 16th to 22nd, 2021 as EMS Week in the Township of Teaneck. Now therefore, I, James Dunleavy, Mayor of the Township of Teaneck, on behalf of the entire Township Council, do hereby proclaim May 16th to May 22nd, 2021 as EMS Week in the Township of Teaneck in recognition and celebration of all those who provide emergency medical services to protect and preserve the health and safety of residents of the Township of Teaneck.
Thank you. And that's signed by all members of the council.
Yes.
Does anybody have any thing they want to add? No? All right. Well, I'll
Mr.
add.
Mayor, yes, sorry. I was going to
Go
add
ahead,
that.
Deputy. Go ahead. Deputy.
So actually, it's later on the agenda, so I'll pass. It's the renaming of Windsor Road for TVAC Way. And Councilman Organ, was there another award ceremony you wanted to discuss?
No, I think they worked that out with Dean. They're having their own award ceremony the
Okay,
day
so-
of the renaming, May 23rd.
Got it. Sorry, Mr. Mayor, this is something, as you may recall, we used to do publicly to thank our EMS volunteers who've contributed through lost saves and births. Unfortunately, due to a lack of in-person, we're not having that, but we do thank them, and I look forward to seeing everyone on the 23rd when we rename Windsor Road.
And I would just say to the public, one of the best ways right now in which to be able to thank these volunteers who do so much for us is to get out your checkbooks and write a check to TVAC and let them know just how much we care about them and how much they're appreciated.
And I just want to say thank you. I was a volunteer EMT for many years, and I know exactly what it takes to leave your family in the middle of the night and go on calls to save perfect strangers. It's literally the best of Teaneck, and I really want to thank our EMS workers for all they do. And in addition to checkbooks, they have a wonderful website. So Google TVAC and make sure you donate.
Great. All right, let's move forward. Old business? Nothing. New business? Nothing. Communications? I just posted for communications the report from the faculty from the Walk the Talk lectures. This information will be passed on to the Advisory Board on Community Relations as they work on projects that we have already charged them to work on relative to bringing the entire town together. So we're looking forward to their work. And if Councilman Rice, if you can take that to them, make sure they get that. I know you're the liaison for the group.
Mm-hmm.
Councilman Kaplan?
Yeah, I had two communications I wanted to bring up. One was, as you remember at our last meeting, we had discussed chickens, and some of the folks that were advocating, and I know we had received some emails back and forth, wanted to request that an ordinance be put on our agenda for discussion. There was a head count, which seemed to indicate 4 people, but apparently no one told the attorney to draft anything up. So they requested that we formalize a vote to see if there's people to request that. I don't know if you want to do that now or after.
Why don't we do it now?
Sure.
So let's have a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make the motion that we instruct the attorney to draw up the chicken ordinance.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so moved.
Any
And
noes?
Any noes? 1 no. 2 no.
3 at this point, 3
Three
no's,
no's.
but I'll
I'm going to wait to see what he comes up with. So I want to, the second was, well, I could discuss the second during advisory board reports.
Okay. Stigma-free Awareness Day.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I want to say thank you to this council for the unanimous support of Teaneck being a stigma-free zone, and love all the green that's being worn, and want to again give a shout out and thanks to our young student, Jordan Laval, who ordered shirts for council members. And I just
And
did
where
want
are
to,
all the shirts? I was jealous of everyone's shirt.
I don't know, Ellie, may not have had your
You didn't
size.
pick up
I'm
your
not in
shirt.
the it. I'm not in the it club.
Is that
Ellie's
green
a
you
po-
have on at least?
It is
Yes.
green.
Okay, well, you must have missed the other memo. But we are all wearing green in support of Mental Health Awareness Month. And I did just want to read a small portion of the ordinance, the proclamation. Whereas Teaneck as a stigma-free zone aims to inspire public interest and open dialogue about stigma and raise awareness about the disease of mental illness and create a culture wherein residents who have the disease of mental illness feel supported by their community and neighbors and feel safe to seek treatment for the disease without fear of stigma. Whereas especially during these difficult times as we recover from COVID-19, we want community members to know if you're struggling with mental health or substance use issues during this pandemic, local resources are available to treat the disease of mental illness, so no one resident feels they suffer alone or feel hopeless. And now therefore be it resolved that the Township Council recognizes the community needs and supports the effort of the community of the County of Bergen by being a stigma-free zone and declaring May 11th, today, 2021, as Stigma-Free Day in honor of mental health awareness. And that again is signed by all of our council members. And in addition to the proclamation, in the agenda, there's additional resources that direct residents to mental health supports, many which are mostly free of charge. If you don't have insurance, it's accepted, but it's just an opportunity to get help and support with resources, especially during this time of COVID. A lot of our seniors perhaps may be feeling the effects by loneliness and other impacts of the disease. So we want to make sure that our residents know that help is readily available. And that concludes that, Mr. Moore. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Rice.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Deputy Mayor Schwartz.
under communication, we had received a letter from a Kirk Mitchell about the Shepherd Avenue properties he was interested in. I just wanted to update everyone. These properties, the Shepherd Avenue and the Bedford Avenue properties, our planner is working on putting together the next steps. As you know, our planner is working on several other large projects now. That's just a little backed up in his queue, but he is working on a presentation to make towards council as to the next steps. This property was the subject of a community interest in developing single-family homes. Councilwoman Javon Rice set up, is it 1 or 2 Zooms? We had multiple meetings with the community and then with Mr. Mitchell as to what the community wants to see here. And the community, and Dr. Pruitt was on the call as well, gave us some pretty solid instructions, and that's what the planning company is putting, the planning firm is putting together. So that is what is going on with that communication that's being worked on.
And Mr. Deputy Mayor, I just wanted to add that the conversations were, again, to reiterate, single family homes. There was no discussion about apartment dwellings. We wanted to make sure that we were consciously keeping in line with the community and single family homes that were residing in that neighborhood.
100%, and just for the record, Mr. Mitchell is a local raised architect that wanted to have a local input, local flair, and for the single family, and that there was some extreme, almost unanimous support from the people on the phone calls as well. Absolutely, and that has my support, of course, as well.
Okay, great. Moving forward, committee reports by council liaisons. Councilmember Kaplan.
So the library board had met. One of the issues that came up had to do with late fees, and they had sent a request over to the manager. It turns out the library can do this on their own. They were just sort of bringing us in because they thought it was a good thing to do. The late fees were waived during COVID. So we haven't been collecting any of them for well over a year. They're not part of our budget right now. And even before that, what they found was that late fees wind up requiring a lot of money in terms of people and don't bring in all that much. Englewood recently found that they spent $30,000 to collect $15,000 in fees. We in the library have a $20 replacement fee value that would be in place no matter what. So if you didn't bring a book back, you would still be subject to the $20 fee. And they would still absolutely be charging the lost materials fee. You'd still get a letter saying that, if you didn't bring your book back after a couple of weeks, you're subject to the fee. Please bring it back. In terms of statistics, because I was, just shocked that, why would you bring something back if you didn't have to? It turns out that in cities that have done this, 95% of the people bring their books back on time anyway. Of the 5% that are left, the vast majority bring them back after they get a letter. And the ones that don't are because they lost the book, and late fees don't amount to much anyway. They wound up just being the lost item fee. So I think this is a good thing. The fee winds up being cost prohibitive from people that can't afford it from using our library. And, that would just make anyone sad. So I would tend to agree with the director. He's put a lot of good projects in place over there. And I think we should give a cent to them knocking off the fee for late materials and see how it works.
Other reports?
Do we need consent? Do we need to give consent?
We don't. He was looking for it, but like I said, it is a library prerogative. He can do it on his own. He believes in working with the council and having a good rapport, and he brought it to our attention to get our input. It had the fee had been a line item in previous years, and that's why he brought it.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah, go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
I'm no professional at this, but I know that my wife spends a tremendous amount of money on late fees. The late fees are not really done to punish anybody. It's done to help the residents that want the next item. And by removing that that stick, for the lack of better words, you're not hurting just those residents, and you're not just hurting the residents that may benefit by the small amount. You're hurting the residents that are waiting in line for the limited amount of resources, especially now during COVID. That's gonna get this book, video, Wi-Fi, or whatever else they're gonna get. I think it's a mistake. They don't understand the basic concept of why people have late fees and why people have these punishments, or for lack of better words, I don't know what else to call it. It is a punishment, obviously. You're not, but. I fully am sensitive to the fact of it's been COVID and we should waive those late fees, and we did. But now to say, okay, it's free for all, bring it back whenever you want to, as long as you have it, we could have it. I think it's a mistake, and it hurts our residents.
Other comments? I think personally, I fall on the side of Deputy Mayor Katz. It's something that you have to have some guardrails when people.
Bear in mind, the guardrail is the lost item fee. If they don't bring it back, they will be subject to the lost item fee. But the director of the library is not a slouch when it comes to this, and he has done his homework. I was a skeptic at first. I found about 15 articles on cities and towns that have done this, and all of them report a over 95% return of items within the same window as prior to waiving the fee. What winds up happening is people that are subject to the fee either find it an annoyance. I know that I've found that category. I've not been able to check out items because I had a 60-cent fee, and it drives me nuts because my time to pay the 60 cents was more than it's worth. And the other people can't afford it and wind up never paying it, so you never get the money back. But to the point, the items come back, the stats show it does, and if this if it didn't, he wouldn't be offering this as a proposal. And if we find that it doesn't, if TNEC is somehow different than everyone else out there, they could change the policy again and reinstitute it.
Mr. Mayor.
Deputy Mayor Katz.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to point out, you referenced small amount of towns, not every other people around the whole country that remove late fees. But to me, what you just said is actually even worse. What you're saying is no more late fees. We're not going to charge you 25 cents to 50 cents if you're a day or two late. We're going to whack you with a $10 or $15 replacement fee, which to me sounds even worse. Okay, we're trying to help the residents. Now you're hurting the residents. You're making it an unknown of when that item's going to get back. You're not giving them any sense of urgency to return it. But then when they do return it, or if they do return it by a certain date, which is whatever the date is, because it's not a late fee anymore, then by the way, congratulations, you now own it because you just spent 15 bucks on that item. I think it's a colossal mistake. It's a great gesture. It sounds so nice and wonderful, like apple pie and motherhood. But to remove a late fee, which is, as Mayor, I like your word, term, the guardrail, or almost like an impetus to try to bring something back, is a big mistake. So it's not a late fee. We're just going to whack you with the giant you own it fee.
There's no whacking. You bring the book
We're
back
gently going to
and
give you the bill
figure out
of
the
you
fee.
own it fee. I'm sorry.
All right. Any other comments? Okay. Do you need anything from council?
Well, I mean, he's able to do it on his own anyway. It's not in our budget. I would prefer to give him the sense of the council. So if you want to take a quick roll call on
Mr.
the
Mayor, I make a
notion.
motion that we send a letter saying that we are adamantly against them removing the late fees and whacking residents with giant you own it fees.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion on the motion? All right, you ready for the vote? All those in favor, say aye. I got 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
This is in favor, sorry, this is in favor of Ellie's motion?
Yes.
No, I'm not. So I'm a no, sorry.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. All right. Dies for lack of a majority.
I will go with the opposite and give the director the discretion to do what he feels is in the best interest of the town and the library.
Comment?
Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, I'm in between. I'd like to see a trial. I think a lot of what Deputy Mayor Katz is saying potentially could be right. At the same time, I understand what Councilman Kaplan's saying is, hey, he could do it anyways, or let's see. So I'd like to do a trial period and see how it works. 6 months or 3 months, I defer to everyone else. But I don't know who's right in this. And rather than just say I abstain, I'd like to see a trial and meet in the middle.
We could do motion that would ask them. I don't think we can tell them.
Yeah,
Ask
I
them.
mean, bear in mind, they've been doing the trial for a year and a half already, and people have been bringing things back. We haven't been doing late fees during COVID, and people are still bringing things back anyway. But I'm fine with telling them, we want more of a trial period, if that's what you like.
Councilmember Organ, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I think we're all very impressed with the director of the library, and I think we should give him the opportunity to do this. I don't think 3 months is a good idea, because if you renew your book 3 times, then it's 3 months. And so I think we would only see a result in a year. But I think he, if this is something he wants to try, he deserves to try it with our support.
I concur.
All right, any other discussion? Councilmember Kaplan, do you want another vote the other way?
Sure, I'll, I will vote to give him discretion to go and do what he thinks is best for the residents.
Here, a second?
Second.
Okay, Councilman Organ, second. All those in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Okay, all right, Keith,
I'll let him know.
thank you. Any other council liaison reports? Councilmember Rice?
Yes, I have from the Youth Advisory Board. They are continuing their work with Dream Catchers. It's an initiative by one of the students, Kasai Sanchez. They're engaging students to pursue their professional dreams and connect with business owners. And the next step is that they're working with the Chamber of Commerce and the Board of Education. Additionally, they'd like to provide certificates to their membership at the next council meeting. of the participants from the Youth Advisory Board, particularly I think our seniors that'll be graduating. Additionally, we have my liaison report from the Hackensack Greenway. They forwarded us a letter that they wanted to recommend that we comply with the PSE&G diversion project, designating 3.7 acres of township vacant land to parkland and adding this land to the ROSI. Additionally, as Dean may present in his report, they wanted to continue to find out what was happening with the FDU easement. And I believe Dean has some information about that in his report. And thirdly, they're going to be looking at National Parks Battleground Grant for 2022 and hope to collaborate with the HNBL to have work done at Brett Park. And the first step would be a radar survey of that area. They also discussed having a radar survey of the enslaved African burial ground to be able to have grave marking areas in that area as well. And thirdly, with the community relations, I know that they're very excited and anticipating receiving this report from the Walk and Talk collaboration with Billy Dickerson. They were very anxious to continue the conversations, and I'm sure we'll be getting work done right away and report back to council as to next steps so they can continue the conversations with race relations in our community. And that concludes my reports.
Thank you, Councilmember Rice. Anyone else? Okay, let's move on to council listed items. Baseball field repair.
Yes, thank you, Mr.
Go ahead.
Mayor. I'm just looking for some nodding heads for ideas from the council. TBO and Teaneck Southern have approached me and they've been communicating with the mayor as well. Our fields, which service approximately 950 children, are in some disrepair, and DPW's done a great job putting Band-Aids on. What they're looking to do is procure a consulting contract to inspect the fields and to prepare the first step in a long-term renovation of our baseball fields, which have gotten so much use and done so much for so many kids. And now it's time to really take it to the next level. And with some PSE&G money, I hope that's money that we eventually can be put to use. They're also willing to split the costs with the town. Now, I don't have the consulting contract yet. For all I know, it's a few dollars or a lot of dollars. But I told them I would bring this up with council, see if I had some nodded heads for this potential idea that I would, of course, come back to council with once the leagues procured a consulting proposal. So I'm just looking for some yeses or nos to make sure that we're heading in the right direction.
I want to hear from the manager and from John about having an outside private group.
It would be the town, by the way. I mean, it would be through the town. Sorry.
Right, but they would then be,
True. Yeah.
it's public property and now they're doing this. So I need some guy.
I hear you. I understood. Understood.
John, Dean. Dean, you're muted.
Yeah, I have no problem looking into it, Mayor, but this is something legally we'll have to discuss with John if it's something we can engage in or not. I agree with Deputy Mayor Schwartz. A lot of these fields need some more TLC. Public Works has done a great job, but they're stretched, and I think at the beginning of every season, I think we do need to spend a little more time in getting these fields game ready, and whether there needs to be improvements, whether it's more clay, more or better design, better drainage. So I think having a field consultant come in is a good idea. The question is whether the town can participate in the cost expense of sharing that with whether it's TBO or Southern Little League. And I'd have to consult with John on that as well.
Can I just ask a question? The field is owned by the township. I think I heard the mayor say that, correct?
Correct.
So if it's our property, are we responsible for maintaining ultimately for maintaining the fields and keeping them up? Dean, I defer to you as the manager on that. But from the legal perspective, we could explore that a little bit. But, certainly, if it's our property, it sounds like something that we should be able to accomplish on behalf of the township. It's for the benefit of all township residents. They're fields that are used by everybody, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we're talking about big repairs. We're talking about, we're not talking about sportsplex style, but we're talking about not $5,000 for the repairs. Hence, we wanted professionals to outline the exact amount of work that the league is looking to get done as we proceed down what will not be obviously a quick fix.
Dean, has Teaneck Southern ever asked for anything like this? I always see this as precedent setting, so.
Well, recently they asked for assistance with repairing their batting cages, with securing netting, and if the township could assist with, I guess, securing a better price than what they receive from one or two different vendors. So that just recently came in, and we're addressing that with them now.
I mean, I think we should give this to Dean and give this to John and look at this from the standpoint of the town and whether we should or shouldn't, if we're setting precedent, whatever, and have them get back to us. Would that answer your question, Deputy Mayor?
That will, I'll relay that accordingly. Thank you.
I'll have an answer for you shortly. Yep.
Okay. Great.
Okay.
I think second one's yours too, Mark.
Yes, I'm going to ask Councilwoman Organ to jump in and help me out with this as well. I'm looking for some nodding heads. Numerous residents had approached us regarding some changes on the Elm Avenue parking, and you recall that from a few meetings ago. I am not in full support of their requests. I'm not sure if the rest of council is. That being said, I am in favor of a partial tweak to allow for parking on the east side of Elm Avenue, which adjoins the school and therefore not anyone's residents' neighbors. And I'm looking for an ordinance to modify that accordingly. Councilwoman Organ, did I phrase that properly?
Yeah, there were, Councilmember Kaplan can probably explain better, but there were parking restrictions for the homeowners who, the homeowners requested them when the apartment buildings were put in. And so every other night, they can park on one side of the street. They don't want the parking spots in front of their homes taken up, but there's a school there with a fence, no access on that side, and nobody's parking in front of it. And I think I agree with the apartment dwellers that it wouldn't affect the homeowners. It's 3 or 4 spots that they're only in front of the side of the school. So I don't have an issue with parking there.
Looking for 2 more heads.
Kaplan, Councilman Kaplan and Councilmember Rice.
So, I had looked into the agreements. Obviously, the issue is that there's density-wise a lot more people in the apartments than the houses. So 100 feet of apartment, you wind up having a lot more people than 100 feet of home. That comes up because typically we, tell people on a block, if more than half the block's residents are in favor of something, we'd update a parking ordinance. Obviously, when you have apartments and houses in the same area, that system gets a little wacky. So in the 90s, this was hashed out. They had various drafts of ordinances, and as Councilwoman Organ mentioned, they settled on this one. What it does is it limits parking so that you can't park 7 hours overnight. I think it's like 2 a.m. to 9 a.m. or something like that. And it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday on one side, Tuesday, Thursday on the other side. So the people that live there can move their cars, to whichever side during the day. The only concern I have is that if you remove it on one side, but not the other, and one side's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and the other side's Tuesday, Thursday, and now they go to move their cars, and, the thing is lined up on the other side by apartment dwellers, maybe, we upset this deal, and the people in the houses are getting the fuzzy end of the lollipop. I would give only because we took the time and effort to go through and request the homeowners. If they're the original homeowners, then I think they should have a say in it. If these people moved in since, I would be fine taking a look at this, but only because I think those that were initially part of the deal, if they're still there, should have it honored.
Councilmember Rice and then Deputy Mayor Katz.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I just know that this was a request by a number of residents, and I was just curious if there was some conversation about checking with the school and the parking restrictions, and was that sought by anyone? And does this truly remedy some of the neighbors' concerns?
I'll jump in. This school is actually not near the property. The property abuts a wall, a large wall. So it's actually out of sight from the school. It's around the corner and out of sight. There's actually a school that I went to. So it's not anything that we really, that affects the school in that regard. It's also over, Councilman Organ, it's overnight parking, correct?
Right.
It's
It would
overnight.
bring
It doesn't.
It would bring a little bit of relief for the apartment dwellers. It wouldn't be in front of any home.
Or school.
So I think that this is a good compromise, at least a good start for many of those residents who have requested this adjustment.
Thank you. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Katz, then Councilman Pagan.
Yes. I was at the site as well. I took pictures. I think it's the same exact area that we're speaking about. There is a small sliver of parking restriction in front of the school at North and Elm. And I do agree that we should open up that parking restrictions. I don't think it doesn't abut the residential homes at all. It's across the street. And I do think that it will add additional parking spots and add relief. So I am in favor.
Councilmember Pagan.
Yeah, this is actually right by my house, and neighbors have been asking for help for years on this. So I am on board. I support this.
Okay. Anyone else? All right, so it seems like we're in agreement to move to get a change in the parking ordinance. So if Dean and John can put something together, do you need a formal vote? No? Okay. All right, if you can bring that back to our next meeting. All right. Okay, proposed resolution, Pride Month, Councilman Kaplan.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, as you know, 2 years ago, we created an ordinance in order to fly flags from the municipality. And since then, we have been able to do so. I drafted the first resolution in Teaneck's history in order to memorialize Pride Month here, and did that for a second year last year and figured I would go for a third year as well. So if there's agreement, I reissued my resolution and put it in the packet, would move to put it in the consent agenda.
Second.
Agreed. Third.
Okay, hearing
And
none,
I just have a question, Mr. Mayor.
go ahead.
Do we have a listing of activities that'll be taking place for the month of June? Is there any report from the Pride Committee? I know that residents are interested in finding out what
Yeah.
festivities will be taking place.
Yeah, we've had some change in leadership there, as you know. And they're just starting to get themselves back together. I don't have even a date for their next meeting. I'm waiting for that. So I'm not sure exactly what they're going to be able to pull off for this June. I know they have talked about some educational programs and things like that, but I just don't know, since they haven't met with the change in leadership, it kind of came down. So I'm hopeful that they'll start to rev up again. But right now I don't have any report on any activities from them.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. 4, proposed resolutions supporting development, expansion of waste and recycling markets.
Mayor, I apologize. I just want to clarify. Council agreed to walk in Councilman Kaplan's resolution. All right, that's going to be number 127 on the consent agenda, number 127-2021. I just want to let everyone know that. Sorry.
Okay. Councilman Pagan.
Thank you, Mayor. Ever since the fire at the Atlantic Fiber Company in Passaic County, a number of municipalities, including Teaneck, have been struggling with how best to dispose of their recycled materials, and have even seen prices go up considerably in facing that ongoing challenge. This situation is proof positive that we need to support the continued development and expansion of waste markets and recycling markets in northern New Jersey, which is why I'm asking to place this resolution on the consent agenda for our next council meeting. This resolution is supported by the League of Municipalities and the New Jersey Association of Counties. So I make a motion to place this on our next consent agenda for June 1st.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Third.
Okay, discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
I
Yeah.
All opposed? So carried. Okay. Number 5, recognition of Congressman Heimer, Councilmember Oregon.
At the beginning of the month, Congressman Gottheimer was named the most bipartisan House Democrat by the Lugar Center, and this really resonated with me in nonpartisan Teaneck, where we all try to work together for what's best for our residents. He has stated that he will work with anyone, Democrat or Republican, if the end result is good for New Jersey and lives up to New Jersey values, and he'll do whatever he can for the New Jersey 5th. And as a municipality, he was incredibly helpful to Mayor Dunleavy during Isaias. He has lobbied for money for us here. He's visited the Rhoda Center. He's now taking on the congestion tax and congestion pricing for our residents who commute to the city. And I just feel that because he's so accessible to us and he's approachable and he's supportive, we had residents who reached out to him during COVID and he helped their families get passports. He really does what he can for Teaneck, and we can always reach out to him. I'm looking for either a resolution, a proclamation, or even a letter, some acknowledgement of what he's done for us. And you could let me know
In favor of
how
the,
you
love it.
feel
Let's
about
do a
that.
combo of all three.
yeah.
And
Second,
he also just put in that grant application with
Right,
us for the
right.
bridge, right?
Sorry, that's
Yeah,
what I
he,
meant. That's
I
what
didn't
started
want
it.
to take Dean's thunder. Is that on your manager's report, Dean?
Actually, I don't, but I know we are one of 3 projects that Congressman Gottheimer submitted for approval.
Yeah, we had there's a federal grant program, and we are one, as Dean said, one of 3 that he is sending in. And he had many submissions to him. But it will ultimately result, hopefully, in almost a $5 million grant from the federal government for an infrastructure project for us. So
Then we should totally go with the resolution.
No, if this is for the bridge repair, correct?
yes,
That would be the Josh Gottheimer Bridge crossing. in my
Josh, I have a bridge car. All right, exactly. All right, so Karen, if you want, I'll work with you on this to come up with something. If
For the
you're
next meeting.
okay.
I like it because you can walk both ways.
And you bridge the gap between Republican and Democrat.
Oh, man.
Here we go. All right, let's move on. Juneteenth flag raising.
In favor.
Rice, Oregon, Councilmember Kaplan, Deputy Mayor Schwartz, and myself.
Yes,
Yeah.
so I want to say thank you for everybody that jumped on this. It was great. So hopefully we can put a proposed resolution for our June 1st meeting. And also it kind of ties in actually prior revitalization. And I thank you, Keith Kaplan, for your resolution from last year, and you actually updated it because this was prior to it becoming a national holiday, which it did become back in September. So it is a New Jersey holiday, and as noted, 47 states have acknowledged it as a national holiday. We still have a few states to work on that. But there have been a number of residents that would like to propose a flag raising on the Juneteenth day of June 19th. I know that we will then be sharing some of that space, I'm sure, for the month of June with our pride flags, but hopefully I know that there's more than one flagpole and that we can share that space and have a Juneteenth flag raising on the 19th.
I know.
So, Councilwoman,
they're absolutely fine with that. There's no problem.
Councilwoman Rice, I don't know if you saw in my updated draft, I added language for a Juneteenth flag raising. So if you'd like, we can use that one and put it in for the consent agenda and approve it now. If you want to put in your own, I'm amenable to that. However you want to.
Yeah, actually, Doug and I, we included your last one as part of the, so we might as well just swap out the updated. They're both noted in the agenda.
Okay, so I'll move to take the updated resolution and add it to the consent agenda.
Yep.
Here, a second.
This is
Second.
with I just want to clarify, Councilman Kaplan, Councilman Rami Rice, this is the language that is included on council listed item 7, correct? That was the updated language that Councilman Kaplan sent me.
Yes, the
Correct.
one with the flag raising.
Cool.
Yes, item number 6.
Right.
And actually, I just wanted to add, Doug and Dean, I forwarded you a copy, a rendering of a potential flag.
Right, we have that.
Perfect, thank you.
And just a question,
Go ahead.
Councilwoman
Okay.
Rice and I had discussed leaving up more than one flag. We can raise different flags on different flagpoles throughout each month now.
I don't
Yes.
see why not.
Okay.
Yeah, I was careful to enable the flags to be raised in the resolution. It doesn't mention taking them down, so knock yourselves out.
Okay. All right. Doug, is that going to be 128?
That will be 129. 128 is Councilman Begon's walk-in.
Gotcha.
So this is going to be 129, the Juneteenth raising.
Okay.
129.
All right. Item 8, heat ordinance, change from June to May. Deputy Mayor Schwartz.
Yes, thank you. This is actually a comment that came to me from tenants. Unlike almost every town in America, or I should say America, in the heating areas, where the heat ordinance ends on April 1st, Teaneck for some reason has it May 1st, and I'm getting heat complaints from tenants because they've had to open all the windows because the heat's blasting, but the landlords are obligated to provide that heat. So I'm looking to first have our if we have a consensus, have our attorney just double look into that, just to make sure it's just a simple change like that. And like I said, it can be verified that this is done throughout most of Bergen County and New York as well. That April 1st, the heat season ends, which is already into spring, let alone June 1st.
Any objection
May
to
1st.
having the attorney? look
May
into
1st, right? Not April
May
1st.
1st. So yeah, I want to move it to April 1st.
I think that makes sense.
Okay. I don't see any Councilmember Rice.
I just have a question, but does that mean that the heat is then turned off? Residents still have, the tenants would still have access to heat, correct?
Yeah, I believe it, and that's why I'll ask that the township lawyer first review it. We have time. I don't want to rush something like this. Then maybe he can start circulating it first. So we have another year to fix this. So I'm looking at to rush it, and I'm looking to maybe Mr. Attorney if that can be circulated first, and then Mr. Clerk, if we can please keep this on council listed, and I'll circle back once everyone's had a chance to read the ordinance.
Okay.
Thanks.
Sounds like a
All
plan.
right. Okay. Good. And last one, 204 Kings Court, Deputy Mayor Katz.
I just want to put this on everyone's radar. I've been getting a bunch of complaints about this house. I know that the police department was forwarded one of my complaints that I sent. But when we have these homes that are nuisances, especially when it's a small block, and this, if you're familiar with Kings Court, it's a cul-de-sac with very small cul-de-sac. And having a lot of cars go up and down, supposedly, allegedly, buying drugs and doing whatever illegal activity, the residents start complaining, and you may get some of those complaints. So I just want to make sure that this is on the front burner and that this is being addressed. So that was my reason for putting it on. But like I said, it's already gone through the process. I gave it to the deputy manager, and he informed me that he sent it to the police department.
Mayor, this has been addressed since April. I know summonses from code enforcement have been issued. I don't want to discuss anything regarding the police department. My understanding, it's an eviction process as well. So there's a lot going on in that area. But the health department's aware of it. They've issued summonses for code enforcement, and any information passed on to me has been forwarded to the proper departments.
All right,
Thank you.
okay. Township manager report.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, not to, well, I'm kind of excited, and I just want to tell everyone, start out saying, forget the setback. Here comes the comeback for us in town. There's great news from the end of our COVID-19 numbers. Daily cases, of course, are down. Our current totals are 3,619. As I reported to council, this is an increase of 31 since the last council meeting, or an average of 2.2 daily. However, we've only seen 2 new cases in the past 4 days, which is great news. Our deaths remain at 118. As far as our adult population vaccination percentages, I believe we're at 53% for town, which is great news as well. Holy Name has minimal patients, the lowest number they've seen since January. Our pod continues to run strong. We're doing 9,000 to 10,000 weekly. It's a little less than what we're accustomed to. And these are mainly second doses. The supply is sufficient. The demand is not there. Again, the vaccination eligibility remains at 16 and over. We're waiting, and we spoke to Mike Marin this evening. Even though the FDA approved for 12 to 15, there's second approval that is needed, which my understanding should take place tomorrow. And once that's done, then the state health commissioner will allow hospitals to start taking appointments for ages 12 to 15, and that's what Holy Name plans on doing. So everyone can anticipate the portal to open up to ages 12 to 15 on Thursday. People are not experiencing a long wait. We're pretty much caught up from the end of registration. You're generally waiting a day, 2 days, 3 days the most. I recently sent out a Nixle message in both English and Spanish on the benefits of getting vaccinated and encouraging residents to get it done. I think Teaneck is head and heels above most municipalities with our percentages. So I thank everyone for that, but there's still a lot more work to do, and we still have a percentage of our population that needs to be vaccinated. The County of Bergen is doing mobile vaccinations. I sent out information via Nixle today as well. The flyer can be found on our website. If you're not receiving these alerts, we say it all the time, please visit the township's website and look for the sign up for alerts tab, which is located on the left-hand side of our homepage. Walk-ups are welcome at the county facility. However, they strongly recommend pre-registration. Other good news to report, the Rhoda Center will open to the public on June 1st, Tuesday, June 1st. Camp registrations begin May 17th as well. That's another important date. Completed forms prior to June 1st can be sent by mail or via the drop box at the Rhoda Center. Now, pool registrations for the Voti Park built-in pool will be accepted beginning June 14th. So there's a couple dates there. June 1st is the public opening of the Rhoda Center. Anyone entering will be required to wear a mask and practice social distancing. Camp registrations again begin on May 17th, and pool registrations for the Voti pool will be accepted beginning on June 14th. The municipal building will have a public opening on or about June 14th. And the reason for that is starting next week, construction work will take place in the municipal parking lot. There'll be about a week or two of concrete work, some drainage work, and that will be followed by milling and paving of the entire municipal facility, safety striping, traffic calming striping, the dual electric charging stations. So everything will be done probably around the end of the first week in June. So I do not want to open to the public until this parking lot is done. There's going to be some inconveniences to the workforce and to the public during that period of time that's visiting the library or the police station, but we will make sure that everyone is accommodated. The library is currently open for express indoor browsing. Mr. McGinley wanted me to get this information out at the meeting tonight. There's express computer usage, scheduled door side pickup of library materials. Hours of operation for the library are Monday through Thursday, 9:30 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. Friday and Saturday, 9:30 to 4:30 p.m. and Sunday from 1 to 5 p.m. The library has certain restrictions. The building is currently limited to 25% reduced capacity. And again, they require face masks to be worn and 6-foot social distancing must be observed at all times inside the library. The library is also offering virtual and in-person outdoor programming. There's home delivery service to assisted living facilities. So they've done a great job in providing plenty of resources during the COVID crisis. As I reported to council as well, the Division of Local Government Services is working on developing a local finance notice to help with yesterday's guidance from the United States Department of Treasury on the use of state and local fiscal recovery funds under the American Rescue Plan. TNEC will more than likely receive around the middle of June, roughly a little under 2 million and another roughly a little under 2 million the following June of 2022. The Treasury has indicated monies can be used for supporting the public health response, addressing the negative economic impacts caused by the public health emergency, replacing lost revenue, and investing in our infrastructure, which is good news. Monies specifically cannot be used to directly or indirectly offset a reduction in net tax revenue or to make a deposit to a pension fund. So they made that clear, but we're still waiting for guidance from the Division of Local Government Services, and that should be coming out shortly. As the mayor mentioned at the beginning, the Memorial Day ceremony will take place on the Municipal Green on Monday, May 31st at 11 a.m. And this is rain or shine. We will have 2 tents set up. The Cedar Lane Street Fair takes place between 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. as well. The Township splash pads open the weekend of Memorial Day. Operating hours will be from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. We have corrected any deficiencies. We have field tested it. It's up and running. So we're looking forward to that opening on Memorial Day weekend from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. The Township's 4th of July parade will take place on Sunday, July 4th at 9:30. And this is going to be followed by the regular activities, the community celebration at the Rhoda Center from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And there's going to be a host of activities for both the young and the old. I'm getting lots of inquiries about the next confidential paper shredding event. The next one is scheduled for September 18th and 19th, and that can be found in the recycling calendar or on the Township's website. Work continues on River Road. Milling should be completed tomorrow or Thursday, and then paving is going to commence thereafter, and that should take roughly 2 or 3 days to complete. Please plan an alternate route if you're using River Road for the next 3, 4, 5 days. The county will then, or Tilcon will then proceed to DeGraw Avenue, and they're going to commence with milling on or about Wednesday, May 19th, 20th, and 21st. The road should be paved in its entirety on May 24th. Again, if you use that travel, please plan for an alternate route to avoid any traffic delays. All other projects I outlined at the last council meeting, and there's a lot taking place, are moving forward. Some contractors are being awarded this evening. That'll take place at tonight's council meeting. My 2020 annual manager's report was posted on the website today. That is up there for your reading. And I did meet with a couple people from the Greenway, Gideon and Marie, and also Bill Rupp regarding an easement along that path by FDU. And we're going to straighten out any issues related to that easement, which dates back to 2007. And that's the end of the report.
Thank you, Dean. Councilmember Rice?
Yes, Mayor, I just have a question. Dean, you mentioned the reopening of the Rhoda Center. And I just was curious as to how voting would be handled in the Rhoda Center. with the COVID pod station there?
Yeah, it's a good question. I actually spoke to Mike Marin today as well, and we're making arrangements to not have the vaccination process take place on the date of the primary. So there should be no interference with that at all.
Tuesday, June 8th.
June 8th, Tuesday, June 8th.
Okay,
Be there, be
Thank you.
square.
Thank you.
all right. Township Attorney's Report, John?
Good evening, everyone. As per usual, it's not a heck of a lot to report. That's not for closed session, but I will indicate that I was very pleased that since our last council meeting about 2 weeks ago, that every member of the council attended anti-discrimination, anti-harassment, and sensitivity training seminars that were provided by our firm, and in 3 separate sessions. So the members of the public know we had no quorums. And I think they were informative, and they went very well. And I was pleased that we were able to do that for the township. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Very nice job on those, by the way. Okay, moving on, formal agenda items, meeting items. Public hearing and adoption of ordinances. Doug, if you can read in the titles, please.
Council, tonight, this evening, we are considering 3 ordinances for adoption. First up, we have ordinance 13-2021, amending ordinance number 20-2020, entitled an ordinance establishing positions and salary ranges for executive, managerial, professional, and confidential employees and for unclassified municipal employees in the township of Teaneck effective July 1, 2020, to add the position of C3 operator and to establish the salary thereof. On deck, we have ordinance number 14-2021, amending section 33-23 of chapter 33 of the Code of the Township of Teaneck relating to surveys and zoning permits. Last but not least, we have ordinance number 15-2021 to exceed the municipal budget cost of living allowance and to establish a cash bank.
Is there any member of council that has any comments related to the 3 ordinances? Councilmember Kaplan?
Regarding the survey ordinance, the manager had spoken with the building department, and they are currently operating on the ordinance pending its ratification, which I'm thankful for. Since that is the case, typically our ordinances go into effect, I believe it's 20 days after we ratify them. In this case, since it is currently in effect, I would like to change that to go into effect on passage, if no one has an objection and the lawyer says it's legal.
Any objection, Councilmember Rice? You're muted, Trevon.
Thank you. I just have a question with regard to, I know that in the ordinance, the onus is on the homeowner to provide prior to pictures and after pictures. And I was just curious, is there any recourse for council if those obligations are not met? So the work is already done, and what fines, and I believe then the survey must be submitted if they're not in compliance. I just wanted to make sure that there was recourse for council and for the township in the event that the compliance wasn't met.
Well,
This doesn't.
And you can take it, Councilman Kaplan, if you want.
Go ahead.
The rules about compliance are the same as they were before this ordinance goes into effect. So anything regarding compliance would just default to our regular compliance rules. This merely changes what is required in order to get the permit, to make things easier for residents, for things that quite frankly are a no-brainer. Anyone that's operating outside the ordinance, this wouldn't affect that at all. It would just default to the regular compliance rules.
And that's correct, Councilman Rice. I concur with what Councilman Kaplan said, that the enforcement of the policy will not change by the zoning officer or the construction officials. This is just a change, if you would, in terms of making it easier for residents who can't ascertain a survey or they don't have one handy. They can use the current modern technology, and the building department, as Councilman Kaplan indicated, was consulted, and the zoning officer was consulted, and everybody signed off on this change, that it wouldn't affect the ability to enforce the current building and construction laws.
Okay, thank you for that detail.
Any other comments from council? All right.
Allowed to make that change, John?
Yep.
Oh, John, can you make the change to upon passage? I think that's what you're talking about, council member.
Yes, the answer is yes. It's already been enforced, is my understanding, in this fashion, because, again, this is something that was being done to make, the residents have an option. It's not punitive.
I'd like to move to make that one change, that it goes into effect upon passage.
Second,
All those in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay. All right, let's open up for a public hearing on these three ordinances only.
Mr. Mayor, I think I need to move that the three be
Yes, you do.
adopted.
Yes, you do.
I'll
Sorry.
move that all three of them, ordinance 13-2021, 14-2021, and 15-2021 be adopted.
You second?
Second,
Just before
Councilmember Rice?
before I call the roll, I apologize. John, will you be sending our office updated language for this ordinance?
Now, we can talk about that offline, Doug.
Okay, sorry. Councilwoman Rami Rice,
Yes.
Councilman Began,
yes.
Councilwoman Organ,
Yes.
Councilman Kaplan,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Schwartz,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Katz,
Yes, but no on the cap bank ordinance.
and Mayor Dunleavy.
Yes.
All right, all adopted.
All right. We now move on to
Mayor.
No, you gotta open the public.
Yeah, we
That was it.
we jumped the gun. We
jumped the gun. I tried to stop you, but you kept going. So we'll have a public hearing on something that we,
No,
Another vote after.
those votes don't count.
Another vote after and count, and you can cure it by taking another vote afterwards.
Yeah.
okay, all right. So public, we're now open for hearing on these three items, which I was starting to do.
Oh, good. So the first person I see here is Mr. Alan Sohn. And again, this is just for the ordinances.
Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear, sir.
It's so nice to have a chance to be heard as a member of the public. Ordinance 14/2021, I fully support, and it's good to hear that the building department will take that into account immediately. At times in the past, they have ignored changes and followed their inertia. Ordinance 15/2021 talks about establishing a cap bank. It's essential to be clear to everyone listening that this is a bank unlike any that exists in the real world, where real finances of real people take place. When real people want to spend money in the future, they put money in the bank, be it to save up to pay for a vacation, a car, or to retire. Real people in the real world also put aside money to pay for potential future emergencies, like the car or home repairs, but not the Teaneck Township Council. This ordinance doesn't put money aside in the cap bank. It puts away the right to increase taxes from this year into the next 2 years. For the third consecutive year, the budget has increased and municipal taxes are going up again. The ordinance states that the budget will, quote, be increased by 3.5%, amounting to $2,074,212.32, end quote. This budget increase and tax increase have been accomplished through a series of increasingly desperate gimmicks, most notably taking current expenditures and adding them to debt, which has soared in recent years. Stephen Gruber raised this pattern of abuse quite clearly in the most recent issue of Teaneck Voices. This township council knew and had been warned years ago by William Brown that the bill would come due for the Glen Point tax appeals, but put aside pennies. This council knew that the bill would come due for retirement pay and refused to put aside money and plan for the inevitable. Even worse than doing nothing, this council deliberately took out $750,000 for retirement pay that had been in the budget for years and cynically cut it to $1 as a pretend budget cut. Thousands upon thousands of new Teaneck residents are being forced to pay the bill for tax appeals and retirement pay earned years, if not decades, before they moved in. This is the definition of intergenerational unfairness. A Another potent savings was to cut capital expenditures to take care of our crumbling infrastructure, such as the facade that is peeling off the Rhoda Center. In addition to the cap bank gains, this council is demanding that it be allowed to violate the law and use money from PSE&G that is required to pay for open space and use it to cover recreation bills that have been taken out of the budget. If this fails, the council will raid the municipal open space trust fund and use that money to pay for maintenance and repair bills. The township council and an attorney have all attacked members of the public who have tried to demand that this township council simply follow the laws they swore to uphold.
Mr. Stone, I apologize. Your 3 minutes were up. Again, you have my email. Any member of the public, if you don't get to fit in all your thoughts and comments and questions in your allotted 3 minutes, the email is clerk@tnecnj.gov, and I will happily copy and paste verbatim into the minutes. Again, the public hearing
I don't
is
see
open.
anybody else, Doug, in the.
I don't
in the
see anyone
queue,
at this
so
time. Mayor.
We'll close this and we will go back to take a roll call on moving. I'm going to move ordinance number 13, 14, and 15, 2021. Do I have a second?
Second.
Councilmember Rice. Call a roll, please.
Yes, sorry. Councilwoman Rami Rice.
Yes.
Councilman Began.
Yes.
Councilwoman Organ.
Yes.
Councilman Kaplan.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Schwartz.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Katz.
Yes, a note to the cap bank.
Yes. Mayor Dunleavy.
Yes.
All are adopted. Scott Carlino, I see you raising your hand. I know you want to speak. That was only for the ordinances. There's another public hearing for an application that we have to hear, and then it will be good and welfare. I apologize, sir. I know you want to speak on a matter. Sorry, Mayor. I've
Okay.
seen that gentleman raising his hand all night. I don't want him to think I'm ignoring him.
Sure. Now we're going to hold a public hearing on Mayanat Yeshiva High School application.
So yeah, public hearing for this is open. If anyone would like to speak on this application, resolution number 115-2021. I see one hand, Mr. Alan Sohn.
Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear, sir.
As the parent of an alumna of Yeshiva High School, I support this.
Alan, we can't hear you. Mr. Sohn, we can't hear you. Okay, Mr. Sohn, what I'm going to ask you to do then is if you can submit your comments so that can be part of the record for this public hearing, because we seem to have lost you. I don't hear it. Does anybody hear him?
No, but he did start by saying he's a former parent and he did support it. So,
Okay, all right. Okay, all right, then we'll close the public hearing
I
on this.
believe you need to vote on this separate from the consent agenda, Mayor.
Correct, I understand. I'm just on the hearing, Doug.
No, I know. I'm just reminding myself also.
Councilmember Organ,
I need to recuse myself. I'm a parent in the school.
very good.
Noted.
All right, any other comments, or discussion from council? Councilmember Rice?
Just that this is reasonable and customary. A question?
Required by statute, Councilwoman.
Thank you.
The municipality, it says it in the language of the ordinance.
Yeah, it has the
Municipality has to
statute.
sign off.
Okay,
Thank you, Mr. Attorney.
all right.
Company.
Hearing no one else, I move 115-2021. Do I have a second?
second Schwartz.
Schwartz, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Rami Rice.
Yes.
Councilman Began.
Yes.
Councilwoman Organ.
I'm recusing
She's
myself.
accused.
Councilman Kaplan.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Schwartz.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Katz.
Yes.
Mayor Dunleavy.
Yes,
Adopted with the recusal from KO. Adopted.
all right. Okay, So at this time, we're going to open the meeting up for public good and welfare. As Doug reminds all of you, you have 3 minutes. If you go over, or if whatever, you can submit comments to be part of the record.
Yes, again, just like the mayor said, can't say it any better myself. So without further ado, we will open it up. First hand I saw was Mr. James Veach. Mr. James Veach. And Mr. Sohn, I saw your comment to be removed as a participant. Oh, it worked. It seems like we're having internet issues all over. Mr. Veach, can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, sir. You have 3 minutes.
For those who follow the council and watch the April 13th and the April 27th meetings, you heard all about an effort, a misguided effort by the mayor and the manager to impose on Assemblyman Johnson and ask him to write a letter to the acting commissioner of the Department of Environmental Protection and ask that he waive the requirement that PSE&G diversion funds be used to buy replacement parkland, and instead be that the township be allowed to spend that money as it chose on any recreational project and not to buy replacement land. The assemblyman, I believe, was misled and did not understand that the township already has 47 acres of vacant land, with which it could satisfy the 3.37 acre requirement. In any event, the council passed a resolution thanking the assemblyman for this letter, and we heard a lot about it. And then 2 days after that meeting, the department responded. And here's the director of the Green Acres program. She says, after an introductory paragraph, quote, while the department sympathizes with this concern is we want to spend the money on recreation, not land. Okay. While the department sympathizes with this concern, the statutes governing the Green Acres diversion process require that any compensation received for the diversion of this parkland be used strictly for the acquisition of replacement land. The intent behind these requirements is to ensure that when parkland acquired using public funds is diverted from its intended use, the public is assured that replacement parkland of equal value is provided. The governing law affords the department with no discretion in this regard, period. Now, the letter goes on to suggest how TNEC could meet these requirements. One of them is using its own land. The other is going to the Board of Education and buying BOE land. But whatever. This response should have been posted on the agenda tonight and made available to the public. The public should understand where this futile and foolish attempt led us. We're right back where we started. It's time for this council to start listening to the residents about where the land will be taken from. Should we have land added to Coolidge Park, to Continental Park, to the Greenway, to the Greenbelt? We've got to find the 3.37 acres that we own and turn them into parkland, or kiss the $2 million goodbye. It's time to involve the public. You're not doing such a great job on your own. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Veach. I have a caller with the last 3 numbers of 364. Caller with the last 364. Hello. Please state your name for the record, my friend. Three, 6, 4. Caller 364. If you could hear me, please state your name for the record. *9 to unmute yourself.
Next.
All right, I'm going to be bringing in. Sorry, caller 364. If you'd like, you can email me and I will include your I will include your comments or questions, whatever they might have been, in the minutes. I have Jesse Lee on.
Good evening.
Hello, sir. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the council for voting to put the chicken ordinance up on the next agenda. There's been a lot of sort of reaction to the idea of keeping chickens in Teaneck that is emotional and fear-based. And I wanted to bring up the things that we've proposed. And I've written a draft ordinance. I've sent it to the members of the council. I've sent it to the town attorney. And I'm happy to share it with anybody who'd like to see it. With the specific things that are meant to protect people from the things that they're worried about, like excessive noise and excessive smell. The ordinance requires a license to be issued from the town that is based on an inspection by the health officer who can verify that the setup will be correct. Chickens have to be kept in coops and runs. They're not free to just fly around and peck at your neighbor's lawn and go where they want to go. The license is revocable if there are complaints. The same as if you have any other issue on your property that your neighbors have a reason to complain about, they can complain to the town, and a health officer will come and inspect and let you know that you're doing it wrong, and you have maybe a chance to fix it. And if you don't fix it adequately to the town's satisfaction, then your license is revoked. In addition, a big issue that people bring up is vermin. And the reason why chickens theoretically attract vermin is the chicken food. So the ordinance that I proposed, that hopefully may be a basis that the town attorney decides to use, is that all chicken feed needs to be stored in rodent-proof containers that are made of either plastic or metal that's fitted with a cover. And when it's in use, it should be dispensed from a specific feeding trough or a similar container. And you can't scatter the food around your property, so the chickens actually know where their food is, and the access to that food is limited. Chickens are tiny dinosaurs, and they eat mice, so any mice trying to get at their food in the run will not meet a happy fate. But if you scatter it around your yard, they'll miss some, and it will attract rodents. And so the ordinance specifically says no scattering around your yard. Again, it specifically prohibits roosters, because roosters are loud and annoying. It prohibits you allowing your chickens to roam around the neighborhood. They should be confined to your property, to an enclosed run, into a coop, and that the coop has to be maintained in a sanitary way. So there are issues that do come up with these kinds of things, and we're looking to protect ourselves because we're going to be living with it, and our neighbors from the kinds of things that come up. And obviously, people make choices in their lives that affect their property and affect their neighbor's property, and we're really trying to mitigate that. This is something that we think is a benefit to ourselves and our neighbors, and that we are happy.
Jesse, I apologize. Your 3 minutes were up. I believe you have my email. Good sir, please send me anything that you were unable to fit in the minutes. Where you were unable to fit in your 3 minutes, and I will include them in the minutes. Now I am bringing in my friend, Scott Carlino. It is now your time, sir. You have 3 minutes. I apologize for all the confusion.
No problem. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, loud and clear, Scott. You have 3 minutes.
All right, thank you. Sorry if you can see me. I got a headband on. It's the end of my workday here in the kitchen. All right, so I submitted to Mr. Ellie Katz. Thank you very much. Very nice guy. A petition for the parking in front of. I took over Jerry's Pizza, who has been an establishment for 50 years here. Turned it into Carlino's Pizza, and I did not come to realize until recently the damage that the commuters from other townships who are parking in front of our strip mall and on Fairview Avenue every day and on weekends. They are parking and leaving their cars here to take the bus across the street to the New York or wherever they're going. So they are damaging and almost destroying the ability for customers to come and pick up their meals or order. And I hear it all the time that we drove past you, there was just no parking. And that's pretty much the gist of it, that other people from other towns are parking their cars around the corner on Fairview Avenue and directly in front of the All This Restaurant and Optimum at 1203 Teaneck Road, and they're leaving their cars to go across the street to the bus stop to go to work during the day or on the weekends or party or whatever, and they're leaving their cars. Nobody has any customer parking at all. So what we had submitted was the petition for possibly 15-minute parking, half an hour, and 30-minute parking in front, and maybe around the corner, 1 hour from 9 to 5, 1 hour parking to keep the people from Bergenfield or Englewood or wherever they're coming parking all day long and just not leaving anybody any opportunity for customers to pull in, pick up their meal, pick up and take out. And that's it. Other than that, I was listening to the meeting about the green shirts and the mental illness. And I just wanted to add something real quick, that I suffer from obsessive compulsive disorder for 25 years. I was suicidal and homeless for 14 years until I met the right doctor. And I'm more than willing to sit down with anybody who has a seriously debilitating obsessive compulsive disorder problem. And I can probably fix them in 20 minutes. It was amazing. I met the right doctor and saved my life 10 years ago. And was able to train me with with brain techniques that come from we could go all into the prehistoric instinct about mental illness and all that. What I'm saying is I'm reaching out to whoever needs any help with obsessive compulsive disorder. I can really help somebody. That's for sure. And I know what I used to be able to look at you and listen to your conversations and tell you that you repeated J and W 573 times in your conversations. And I would count cracks and walls and see people. And so it was really bad. So from being that bad of suffering from mental illness, I know what it is. And I can really change somebody's life. So that being said, help me with the parking, please, because everybody in the
I apologize, Scott. Your 3 minutes was up. We appreciate that. And we did see your petition. I am now bringing in Mr. Alan Sohn.
Hear me.
Yes, loud and clear.
All remember the basics of that Nishuin Group story, in which $900 was made as a campaign contribution in exchange for a contract of $20,000 of work. Councilmember Kaplan himself described this as part of a circle of sleaze, but it gets worse. The resolution that awarded this contract on July 1st, 2020, stated that there was a proposal.
I don't believe
But the clerk has confirmed that no such document exists. The resolution states that the township manager prepared a written confirmation of available funds, but no such document exists. It says that the township council reviewed a proposal that simply does not exist, yet the contract for $20,000 was awarded. How can our township attorney allow a resolution to be approved and a contract awarded in a situation where a proposal simply does not exist? It's no surprise that Mr. Shedanian sits on his hands when illegal actions take place in Teaneck. When Mr. Schwartz and the planning board pushed through approval of a segregated housing project at the Haluba site, this township council, most notably Mr. Dunleavy and Mr. Kaplan, refused to take action, and together with Mr. Shedanian, dared residents who were in favor of integration to go to court to fight for what's right. We did. We hired an excellent attorney and went to court, and we will prevail. Now it's time to address the big issue of the day, chickens. Over the past several months, Township Attorney Shedanian has spread the falsehood that residents had illegally interfered with a multi-million-dollar pottyplex, claiming that this illegal interference cost the township $250,000 in added costs. Mr. Shedanian knows that this claim is false. He also knows that it was his inactions and those of other township staff that caused the delay and added expense. Mr. Shedanian has never provided any evidence, ever. If any resident acted illegally, violating any law, ordinance, rule, or regulation, he has an obligation to take action and recover that money, but he has refused to do so. Could it be because the last time he took legal action against a resident, filing an appeal against Eli Jones, Judges Gilson, Rothstadt, and Natali gave it to him good for his foolish arguments. I was there, and I've heard the tapes over and over. After he lost, he then had the gall to fraudulently bill the township for open litigation already covered by his retainer. If there was illegal action by residents, and there is any evidence of wrongdoing, go to court. Do it. Do it. If Mr. Shadanian, you refuse to do so, we residents need to ask a version of Keith Kaplan's question he posed online. Why the clock do we have a chicken for a township attorney? If he refuses to take action.
Thank you, Mr. Sohn. Your 3 minutes were up. You have my email. I'm now bringing in Miss Jordan Laval.
Hello, my name is Jordan Laval. I am a senior student in high school at Bergen Academies, and I am a Girl Scout ambassador. I'm really happy to see everyone wearing the t-shirts today. I'm also wearing my t-shirt, and I'm here to talk about my workshop series again. I was here last meeting, and I appreciate all your support and all the posts and everything that you've done to help support my workshop series and help bring awareness to mental health. I wanted to say that my workshop series, there's 3 more weeks left. This past weekend was the first week, and it was super successful. And I had instructors come in and teach and focus on physical health. And I hope that teens and people in Teaneck and people in Bergen County can continue to come to the workshop series in the next following weeks. So continue to spread the word, continue to share my workshop series with your friends and with your families. I will put my website link in the chat so that it's easy access. Hold on 1 second. And I'll also put the registration link in the chat as well. And you can share that with anyone who you think would be interested if you're interested in yourself. And it's completely free, it's completely virtual, and it's really cool. This weekend is focused all on mental health and discussing emotions and all that. And I'm really excited for this, and I hope that we can pull even more people around town. I actually talked to Teaneck Library today for their teen program, and we're getting more and more people involved. So thank you again for all your continued support, and continue to spread the word. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Jordan. And thank you especially for the awesome shirts. I'm now bringing in Miss Sandy Silverberg. Sandy.
Can I hit
the green shirt, no less.
I have a green shirt, but it's my green shirt. Good evening, council, Mr. Manager, Mr. Clerk, neighbors and friends, and sure, even a few enemies. I just wanted to say I know where I'm getting my next pizza, and if anybody else wants pizza, it's on me, and you know where I'm getting it. It is with great pleasure that I speak in support tonight of resolutions to fly the Pride flag and to support celebration of Juneteenth. My recent exchanges, which I wonder if you read, rather lengthy, with Councilman Kaplan, I copied all of you, attest to my very long-standing effort and support of inclusion. Pride ceremonies are recognized around the world, most of the world. Sadly, there are still too many places where people are discriminated against and killed just for having been born one way or another, or another, or another. And we have witnessed how terrifying it still is to be female in some parts of the world because you just want to go to school. Juneteenth celebrates American history, not the kind they perpetrated on me when I was in school. And thank goodness curricula have changed, in my opinion, for the better. No more whitewashing. Yeah, that's what I said. Neither one of these international or American celebrations is the same as displaying a nation state flag And unless I'm losing my eyesight along with losing my hearing, I haven't seen that resolution here tonight. So I want to thank you, Council, and note the efforts of Councilman Kaplan and Councilwoman Romney Rice, and I'm sure there are others who proposed these two resolutions before you tonight, and I hope that they will sail through without difficulty. Oh yeah, chickens. We're not allowed to have bird feeders in this town. So no to chickens, no to ducks, to turkeys, to fowl, all fowl. As far as the late fees on the library are concerned, I just want to say that we have the most wonderful director of the Teaneck Public Library. I'm involved with the Friends of the Library. We're a separate organization, but I have to tell you that I think we're so lucky. And if we could have a little faith in his wish here, if it turns out to be no good, to not have fines, he'll be the first one to say, this was a mistake, let's reinstate them. So you have my 2 cents. I put it out to the members of the Friends. I've gotten various responses, but generally speaking, they all eventually say, well, how does Mr. McGinley feel about it? And I think that needs to count. I'd like to know from the mayor, who is now in the leadership of Pride? You said there were some changes. I'd be interested to know. Thank you, Mr. Manager, for everything you do. And I just want to announce that I appreciate.
Sandy, I'm very sorry. Your 3 minutes were up. Again, you definitely have my email. Please send me anything that you were unable to fit in. I'm now bringing in Miss Lillian Lewis. I brought you in. Give it just a second. I think that we're just having some Wi-Fi issues here that are causing just a little bit of a lag.
I'm testing it as we speak, and it's fine.
There she is. Miss Lewis. If you could hear me, please unmute yourself.
Thank you. Good evening.
Hello. 3 minutes, miss.
As you know, I'm Lillian Lewis. Yes, I'm calling in to say Kevin Aaron Hill and his DPW team are doing an excellent job. And I'm simply calling in to commend them publicly and to say to keep up the good work. Also, I just want to also add, as Sandy said, that I thank you for deciding to let Alan to make the decision regarding the fines for the books. I am on the library board and he's doing an excellent job also. So thank you for listening. Good night.
Thank you, Miss Lewis. Always a pleasure to hear from you. I'm now bringing in Dr. Charles Powers.
Hello.
Sir, 3 minutes.
Thank you very much. In the last 2 meetings, residents, several of them, have raised the possibility of suggesting that this council support the idea of having the municipal election as well as the Board of Education election occur in November to increase the number of participants. The number of participants is an important sign of democracy. And there was confusion by several of the council members in suggesting that to ask for a vote for a nonpartisan council in November was to invite partisanship and to almost with the suggestion that you can't get there without becoming partisan, which we have proved not to be the case with the Board of Education. This entire question of whether or not we're partisan or nonpartisan really got confused. I want to point out that our election ended exactly 1 year ago tomorrow. And in the run up to that, there was a discussion about whether or not the Teaneck Democratic Municipal Committee could actually invite all the candidates to submit their bona fides to see whether or not the TDMC wanted to support them. And there was a resolution, there was a email sent by one of the three members of the winning coalition, Moving Teaneck Forward, which suggested we will not seek nor will we accept partisan support from your group or from any other. About 1 week before that comment came in from the Moving Teaneck Forward folks, the Moving Teaneck Forward folks had actually received from a partisan PAC from the western part of the state, from Skylands, $900 for their campaign, and that was followed by 3 other partisan PACs supporting Moving Teaneck Forward. The confusion about what constitutes partisanship and nonpartisanship was completely misunderstood by that. Now, why didn't the public know about the fact that Moving Teaneck Forward was getting such support from in this case, a Republican PAC from the western part of the state? They didn't know because Moving Teaneck Forward's reports to the state, even though they were due on the 29th and 11th day before the election, never actually included the reportable contributions of those PACs until the 21st of January, 2021, literally 10 months after they received them. There is enormous confusion. If that's not hypocrisy, I don't know what it is. Why in the world we didn't get the right-headed report from them?
Dr. Powers, I apologize. Your 3 minutes was up. Again, I know you have my email. Please feel free to send me an email. Bringing in Juanita Brown. Juanita Brown. Please unmute.
Can you hear me now?
Loud and clear, Miss Brown. You have 3 minutes.
2 things, maybe 3. Wouldn't the Teaneck Council like to save the town some money? That's a question to the council. Well, if we moved our elections from May to November, it is my understanding that the township could save a whole bunch of money. I don't know the exact figure. And if it was only $10,000, it's still $10,000 that we could save. And considering the budgets that we have and the constraints that we have and the financial situation of everything and everyone, we should want to be able to save any amount of money that we possibly could. The second thing, I'd like to thank the council for passing the resolutions to flying the pride flag as well as the Juneteenth flag. I think that was such a positive move, and it gives the residents a little more confidence in the township. Third thing, and this is directed to Councilwoman Organ. My understanding was that an apology was made from you to one of our police officers about your support of the Black Lives Matter sign. And I was just trying to understand, why did that happen? Or what made you feel like you needed to apologize for something that you originally supported?
Is that all, Miss Brown?
Well, I'm waiting for an answer, hopefully.
Unfortunately, we do not have dialogue during Good and Welfare. Council addresses the public after everyone speaks.
Okay, thank you very much.
I'm banking your leftover 40 seconds, Ms. Brown. I hope you're well.
Okay.
I'm bringing in now Miss Debbie Eliyahu. Debbie.
Hello, Doug, and good
Hello.
evening, council.
3 minutes, man.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Thank you. Good. My first thing is that I would like to raise my beak in support of chickens. Long before the brave Jesse Leon spoke up, I had great support for the idea of chickens, backyard chickens. I thought it was a great idea, and it just never occurred to me to speak up and say, let's have chickens in the backyard. I always thought it was a great idea, and I wished we had had them. So this has been something that's been on my mind for years. And I want to thank Mr. Leon. I think his name is Leon. I want to thank him for speaking up, and I raise my wings in support. The second thing is, now that I heard that the baseball fields are going to need quite an investment, and there's really going to be additional investments needed in the sports fields. I'm wondering if somebody could explain to me if that's going to preclude using those fields now that we have the new, I think it's called the field house. If that's going to preclude using that field house for whatever it was planned for, and also at what point we will be able to find out how much money was brought in from renting out that space to teams, etc., so we can kind of figure out how much it's bringing in from that investment and how long it'll take to pay it off. So that's all. I wish you all well. I thank you, and I hope you have a good evening. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. I'm now bringing in an Eric Organ.
Hey, Doug, can you hear me?
Loud and clear, sir. You have 3 minutes.
Awesome, Doug. Hi, good evening, Council. Eric Oregon. I'm speaking on behalf of myself and not as any organization I might be a part of. In 1962, President John F. Kennedy proclaimed May 15th as National Peace Officers Memorial Day, and the calendar week in which May 15th falls is National Police Week. Established by a joint resolution of Congress in 1962, National Police Week pays special recognition to those law enforcement officers who have lost their lives in the line of duty for the safety and protection of others. As we all know, National Police Week kicked off on May 9th, and I'm hoping it's not too late that the council might be able to walk in a resolution recognizing Police Officer Memorial Week and paying special homage to the Teaneck Police Department, whose men and women go above and beyond each and every day to ensure that we remain safe. They never know what they're going to find when they get up in the morning and they go to work, but each and every day, the dedicated men and women of the Teaneck Police Department, who I've had the honor to work with side by side over the last 26 years, go above and beyond and do everything they can to keep Teaneck safe and a great community. So I was just hoping there'd be an opportunity possibly to recognize the Teaneck Police Department for all that they do for our township. And at the same time now, as the president of the Ambulance Corps, I would like to thank you for the resolution and for the upcoming street naming and for your continued support of our organization. Thank you all for all the hard work you do. We know it is very thankless, but keep up your smiles. Keep doing what you guys do. You're doing a great job. And I appreciate everything you guys do every single day. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Organ. I'm now bringing in Celine Lewis. Celine Lewis, please unmute yourself.
Thank you. I'm going to show my face and everything. Hello, everyone. My name is Celine Lewis. My mother was just on, Lillian Lewis, and this is the first time addressing the council. And I don't know the protocol, so please forgive me if I don't know the protocol for addressing council. I just want to say I'm so proud about the Juneteenth flag raising that I got out my flag and I wrapped it around myself. And I want to say I thank you so much. This is an excellent, wonderful holiday for African Americans around this country and in Teaneck, and I'm just so excited about it. And if anyone wants to know about Juneteenth, you can also Google it. If you know me around town, you always ask me. I'm here to teach, and you can always learn. And that's it. Thank you.
Ms. Lewis, thank you very much. We're not supposed to dialogue, but I'm going to request from you, if you could maybe just send an email to clerk@tnecknj.gov, clerk@tnecknj.gov. Let me know where you purchased that Juneteenth flag, because that looked like a good quality, and I'm having a hard time finding a good quality one right now. Stephen K. Bringing in Stephen K.
Hi, are you able to hear me?
Loud and clear, sir. You have 3 minutes.
Fantastic. So longtime listener, first time caller, and I'm coming to the council and the manager's office for some help. I have had an issue for a year and a half now, and I've been shifted from department to department and unable to find redress. Back in December of 2019, on their very last leaf pickup of the season, the DPW truck with the claw, in addition to the leaves, also picked up several of the Belgian block on my property, as well as destroying a underground PVC pipe that took rainwater away from the home. A police report was made. The following week, I brought it into the township manager's office, and I was shifted to engineering. For 6 months of being in contact with Mr. Garvel in engineering, they were supposedly putting it out for bid to get this fixed. And after 6 months of going back and forth and following up, I was put from engineering to DPW. For 8 months, I was in contact constantly with a gentleman named Kevin over in the DPW, who was putting it out for bid to have this fixed. And then winter came, and then he couldn't, and then we're waiting for warm weather, and then it just never happened. 4 months ago, finally, a gentleman from DPW by the name of Frank came out to my property, and he took pictures, and he was now the one in charge, and he was putting it out for bid. And then as of my following up this morning, a gentleman there named Romeo told me that Frank is out on injury and he has no idea what anyone's talking about, and there's no paperwork and nothing has been sent out for bid. I would just like my property fixed.
Did you have anything else to add, Mr. K?
I really think that's it, but I would very much appreciate some help in this because I've been shifted for a year and a half from department to department.
I understand. That's frustrating. Please send me an email. If you could tonight, that'd be great, to clerk@tnecknj.gov. And I'm going to start looking into that issue for you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
And you know, I'm not going to kick you around because you know exactly where to find me. Here we are.
Yes. Thank you. I appreciate it.
No problem, Steve. Have a good night. Sorry.
Thank you.
All right, the last hand I see here is again the caller 201 with the last numbers of 364. I really want to hear what you have to say. You need to hit *9 to unmute yourself. You got the hand raising part down. I'm hearing some button pushes. You are unmuted now. Try speaking into your phone.
Hello.
Hello, is that
Hello?
Mrs. Giddens?
Yes. Hi, I got in finally. Hi, Doug.
I knew
Thank
it was
you.
you, Ms. Giddens. You have 3
Thank
minutes.
you for having me out. Okay. First of all, I wanted to agree with Karen Organ to congratulate Congressman Gottheimer. He looks after the needs of the small businesses, and he appreciates hometown heroes who give of their time for the welfare of others. And the second point, as chair of TRBCA, Teaneck Road Business Community Alliance, I'm advocating for the small business strip of 12 stores between Fairview Avenue and West Englewood Avenue. The parking ordinance in front of these stores should be changed from 1 hour to 15 to 30 minutes at the most. Some of the stores have curbside pickup with no place to park on this heavily trafficked street of Teaneck Road. It's unfair to lose business because drivers have to circle the block numerous times hoping to get a parking space. There's also no nearby parking north of these stores because of the firehouse on the north side, and across the street there's a churchyard, and to the south of these stores is the new huge dollar store, which would have been a nice parking deck, by the way. Next to that is a school and a churchyard. We need to support small businesses, especially since they're reopened after the COVID quarantine. I also wanted to say Happy Mother's Day to the council women, just for recognition. The other part is I'm happy that Juneteenth is being recognized finally as it is a national holiday. I'm concerned about the conflict of interest with the pride flag being flown at that time as well, because it took so many years to get the recognition for Juneteenth, and I would like to see a separation. So because there is a month of pride flag and there's only a day of Juneteenth. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Mrs. Giddens. And I told you that we were going to get you on here. I have a Mr. Jose Zenon. Zenon. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your last name.
Zenon.
Zeno. Thank you, sir. You have 3 minutes.
Zenon. Thanks, Doug. Thank you, House the Mayor and the council members. Thank you for serving. I have just a quick question. I brought this up like maybe a few years ago, so I'm addressing the council for the first time in the last year or so about it. But there's, I live in 1835 Palisade, and there's some missing street light. Well, one street light is missing, and I don't know how to explain it, but every few feet there's a street light, and there's one missing at right across where I live, and that whole area, it just leaves the area dark, and it gets a little, it's dangerous as you know the sunset, but it hit home when now my wife was coming home, and we still have deers running around, but there was a deer, and she was unable to see it because it was dark, and it raised some concerns. So I'm trying to bring that up again. I know I went to they directed me to some department, and it never got resolved. I let it go for the past few years, but I'm trying to bring that issue back to see if we can get a street light for the safety of the neighborhood and the safety of the block. 1835 Palisade is at the end of the street, right in front of the mini power plant that we have over here. So that's about it. Thank you. And I also want to echo what people have been saying about June thing. That the council took the step to recognize it. Appreciate your service, and thank you for your evening.
Thank you so very much, sir. Mayor, at this time, I see no other hands.
All right. Thank you, Doug. I appreciate it. We'll declare the public hearing closed. And I'll turn now to the council and see who would like to make some comments. We'll start to my, let's start to my left tonight, Councilman Kaplan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know that several or more than several members of our community have family members in Israel, including some members of council, and there's a lot of violence happening there. I want to send a prayer to all the families in town, and best wishes for the safety of all of our loved ones in Teaneck and beyond. For Mr. Zanon, if you can email the location of the missing light to either the manager, or you can email me if you'd like. The ones on either side should also have a label on them. We could ask PSE&G to review that. Just wanted to speak a minute about the Juneteenth resolution. I was happy to put it on last year, and I'm glad to see that since New Jersey has recognized it, and we are still asking for federal recognition. It's certainly a possibility this year. There's 2 bills pending. You might know about me that I'm a large supporter of liberty, and any advocate of freedom should have a deep reverence and appreciation for the predecessors that fought for abolition. Frederick Douglass answered the question in his speech he gave, what is the slave to the 4th of July? And I think that in a number of respects, Juneteenth is the day that a lot of people have chosen to celebrate that level of freedom. And across the country, a lot of people are celebrating with cookouts and various practices. And one thing that I think we should consider as a town is, especially with COVID lifting and the possibility of having in the future our new field house, I would think, something to bring together the various communities in town to cook side by side together in the kitchens and have a nice ability to join each other eating, especially in the new sense of everybody meeting together, might be a new and good way to enjoy this holiday in the future. So maybe we'll keep that in mind for next year.
Thank you. Councilmember Organ.
Thank you. To Mr. Carlino, thank you very much for sharing your story with us. I'm so glad you're doing well. To Ms. Giddens, thank you for the Mother's Day wishes. And to both of you, I'm hoping there's something that we can do to help you with the parking. I'll leave that to the attorney. Ms. Giddens, I think we're going to try to fly flags on multiple flagpoles now, because everybody deserves to be, every flag that we decide to fly deserves to be flown and seen. To Ms. Lewis, to Lillian Lewis, I agree about Mr. Arahil. He is always so helpful. To Celine Lewis, you do have a beautiful face, just like your mother. And to Mr. K and Mr. Zenon, I am assuming that if you email the clerk, we'll be able to help you with your issues. People have asked me if I'm happy to be serving on council. And on a night like tonight, I really am. We just have the ability to do so much good when we get together. And people say that we split up into subcommittees of 3, and we do. And it really gives us the opportunity to work together closely in different groups. And I think tonight, everybody saw that we were able to disagree on certain things, chickens, library dues, but we really do work well together, and we work well respectfully. I come from a family of helpers, and this really has allowed me to be a helper, particularly the Rhoda Center and working on the COVID vaccine. But this is what we do in my home. This is how I was raised, and this is how I'm raising my daughters. They try to help whenever they can. I lost my older one in a supermarket one day. She was 17 years old, and I found her at the end of my shopping with a gentleman in a motorized scooter who was trying to find ice cream for his wife, but couldn't get to the back of the cooler. And she went back and shopped with him again after that. And this is what we do. And so Ms. Juanita Brown and anyone else that's been holding an Oprah, Ms. Juanita Brown, I helped you get numerous people vaccinated, and I did it with pleasure. And you have my email, and you have my phone number, and I work with you on the Senior Citizen Advisory Board, and I do my best to help everyone they can. And one thing that anybody has worked with me knows is I don't vote for something if I don't agree with it. So when I voted for the Black Lives Matter mural, it was because it was important to me. And it was, as I said at that meeting, it was important to me that we voted unanimously as a council to support all of our neighbors. And it had my vote. But at the same time, anyone in this town who feels disenfranchised or not heard will always get an I'm sorry from me. I am sorry that you feel that way. And I say it over and over again, and then I try to help. So I hope that puts this to rest. I am not against the Black Lives Matter mural, and I am certainly not against police officers. I am a huge supporter. Thank you for the time.
Thank you, Councilmember Organ. Councilmember Rice.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you. As always, I'm very appreciative of the strength of our residents who demonstrate democracy and share their voices and opinions at our council meetings. And it was already mentioned that, yes, there is more than one flagpole. So yes, June 1st, we will be having the pride flag raising, and then on June 19th, which is the actual holiday, there will be the Juneteenth flag raising. I hope that residents will continue to find occasions to wear green this month as we continue to celebrate mental health awareness, and that we would demonstrate kindness for all those that are differently abled. I thank you, Mr. Carlino, who expressed his dealings with mental health, and I hope that others will find that there is no stigma attached to sharing. I also pray for peace for all who may be impacted by the violence in Israel, and want to say thank you to Celine Wong for her support and suggestions, and look forward to the events that she and other residents will be planning for Juneteenth. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Rice. Councilmember Pagan.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank Mr. Organ because I was also going to remind residents that this is National Police Week. In 1962, President John F. Kennedy designated May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day, and the week in which it falls as National Police Week. And that is when we recognize the brave men and women of law enforcement who risk their lives day in and day out to protect our hometown and our surrounding communities. So I just want to give a shout out to the Teaneck Police Department and thank them for everything that they do for us here in Teaneck. And lastly, Mr. Manager, is there something we can do to please help Mr. Carlino, Mr. K, and Mr. Zenon? Thank you, Mr. Manager, and thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Pagan. Deputy Mayor Schwartz.
Thank you very much. I'll make my comments brief as the hour is late. I welcome and I thank all the first-time callers that called in today, though I'm sure they'd rather not have called in with their problems. So I know the manager and the clerk jumped on it, and I hope we can really expedite those problems. We are a full-service town, and I see no reason why we cannot. That being said, I also wanted to thank Mr. Stephen Kay, though a first-time caller, a longtime member of the planning board years ago, and I remind everyone thanking him for his service, I should say. So thank you very much, Mr. K, and I hope those issues get resolved for everyone. Thank you very much, and I defer.
Okay. Deputy Mayor Katz.
Yes, thank you very much. So regarding the chickens, and we can discuss it a little bit more at length when we introduce the ordinance. But as I said originally, I don't know if this is right. I don't know if it's wrong. I know that, it's a little comical to many people because most times chickens are better served on a plate than in the backyard. But the reality is that it's something that residents want. We've never had an issue with it. And I don't see why we shouldn't try it. It's just trial. As you see, we are willing to try different things, including getting rid of late fees, right? Who would have ever thought? After death and taxes, late fees on library books, I thought was one of those inevitables, but we're going to get rid of it. Next, we could work on the death part, maybe. As far as Carlino's Pizza, I did submit that. First of all, really great guy, and his mother is even better. Wonderful family, really working hard on Teaneck Road, the old Jerry's Pizza, to try to provide an amazing product for the residents of Teaneck and beyond. So, just a little plug, Carlino's Pizza on Teaneck Road. But he's having trouble with the vehicles that are parking and abusing and getting onto buses. He did submit a survey. I do ask the manager to convey to the police department that if the time requests were not exactly what they would like, if they could come up with some type of compromise or some type of suggestions so that they could service people without people sitting there abusing the parking spots, the limited parking spots that are in front there. Obviously, Ms. Giddens had a similar concern. My suggestion to her is to go to one or two of the merchants in that other strip area that was mentioned and just make sure that they are on board, which is get the petition done like Carlino did. And as far as the national law enforcement resolution that was proposed by Mr. Organ, I'm 100% supportive of it. If there's something available, I would absolutely like to walk that in or vote on it tonight. That's it.
Okay. All right, I have just a couple of things. First off, Ms. Silverberg, you asked about the leadership in the Pride Advisory Board, the Pride Chair, and I believe the contact information is probably up on the website, is Megan Dunleavy. And I know she's trying to set up a meeting to kind of reconstitute the group and get things moving again. I too have been back and forth on the idea of chickens, but I think I'm again leaning towards let's try it. I have been asked about what happens with the rooster situation and the 6 a.m. cock-a-doodle-doos and things like that. But it's something that I think we need to discuss, and I think there are enough people here who feel this is something that we should at least try. I think all the questions, Mr. Kay and Ms. Giddens, I think those things Deputy Mayor Katz gave potential solutions to, and I know Dean will be looking into a number of those things. Mr. Carlino, congratulations on your new business and also on your new personal and positive journey. We congratulate you, we applaud you, and everybody gets some pizza at Carlino's. And let's see. Oh, in terms of the flags, we will work out a schedule. Yes, we do have 2 flag poles, but we will work out a schedule. I've already talked to the Pride Advisory Board Chair, and they indicated that no problem with this. We'll work something out in terms of flying of these flags. So we'll work something out. I think it's going to be a very cooperative situation as we go forward. And finally, again, Mr. Veach, thank you for your comments. As you know, I took all of your suggestions and gave it to the manager. I know the manager is looking at any and all possibilities in terms of land, but I want to be clear that what we tried to do here was not necessarily take all of this money and use it for something other than purchase of land. We were looking at it from the standpoint of perhaps not being able to use all of it on land and then try to use the other things in order to perhaps half offload our budget and enhance the services in the parks. So I want the public to be clear as to what we tried to do. I don't think it's wrong for any municipality or anybody really to go before a state agency or anybody else and ask for relief from something in a particular situation. So we're going to move forward. I know Dean is working on it, and we'll probably, as a council, be talking about that. But as I said before, we will do everything we can to buy land, but I didn't want to have to give the money back and not have the Township of Teaneck and its residents benefit from it. And I too am in full support of recognizing policemen everywhere, but especially our Teaneck Police Department. And as much as I think from a sentiment standpoint, I mean, we could do a quick resolution saying we support our police officers and police officers in Teaneck especially, but I think that probably wouldn't do it justice. So I'm going to be asking a member or two of council, if we can put our heads together and come up with something for the June 1st meeting. I know it's a little late, but certainly something that's appropriate to show our support and our thanks for the services that certainly the Teaneck Police Department gives us, as well as policemen throughout the country. Does anybody have any objection to that? Okay. All right. That's all I have. So we will now move on to the consent agenda. So clerk, if you could read the bill list.
The bill list this evening is in the amount of $10,017,440.17.
I would like to move that we adopt the bill list and walked-in resolutions.
Second Schwartz.
Consent agenda.
Pagan.
Any discussion? It's been moved and seconded to approve the bill list and resolutions number 127, 2021, 128, 2021, and 129, 2021. You have a second?
That was Mike Pagan, Councilman Pagan.
Okay.
So then going down the roll, we have Councilwoman Rami Rice,
Yes, with an abstention on the bills list.
Councilman Pagan,
Yes.
Councilwoman Organ,
Yes.
Councilman Kaplan,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Schwartz,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Katz.
Abstention on the bills list and the resolutions.
Did you say abstaining on all the resolutions?
Yes, sir.
And Mayor Dunleavy?
Yes.
Everything adopted.
All right. We'll now have to move minutes and resolution number 116, 117, 118, 119, 120, 121, 122, 123, 124, 125, and 126. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Maybe something got lost in translation. I thought we just approved the consent agenda.
Yeah, I said bills list, consent agenda, and walked-in resolutions.
Oh, I just had you calling just the walk-in resolutions. So,
Because they're included in the consent agenda when we walk them in.
right. No, I know, but I thought he just mentioned those three in particular and not the rest of them. I didn't hear the rest. So is it the feeling?
I'm happy to do whatever you want. You want another roll?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Rami Rice,
Yes.
Councilman Pagan,
Yes.
Councilwoman Organ,
Yes.
Councilman Kaplan,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Schwartz,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Katz.
Abstention on these resolutions.
Bill lists and resolutions. Mayor Dunleavy,
Yes.
everything adopted.
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting, sir.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Have a
Good
great
night,
night, everybody.
Be well.
Everybody be
Happy
safe.
Stigma-Free Awareness Day.
And surveys are no longer required for replacement of zoning permits. Certain ones.